So, having your own business is a game changer if you are trying to increase your income and get money to invest. So, today I'm going to dive into one of the key components to starting a business. And to be honest with you, there's a lot in the hoorah of things that people are saying this isn't important. Well, I think it is. And I've read a book recently that actually magnifies this is very important. And so, if you haven't been following, we've been talking about starting a business and how to, really dive into starting that business, what you need to do, what you must think about or consider when it comes to starting a business. And I will reiterate, starting a business and running and operating a successful business is not for everyone. But if you have the grit and determination to get out of that rat race or whatever, is fueling you to move forward or to increase your income, you can do it. So I've been recently reading a book and actually have it here. Just I was sitting down to record and I found it right here in front of me. So I'm reading this book and it's The Innovative Secrets of Steve Jobs. And it's a good read. I'm not fully finished. I'm like a little bit in the midway of it. And the author is kind of going through, Steve Jobs' life story and what made him so successful. And this missing ingredient that a lot of people, we start a business and I don't know if I'm guilty of this or not, but we start a business for money. Let me raise my hand. How many of us start a business for money? Because we want to increase our income. And I don't know that there's something wrong with that, but you also need to have this secret ingredient to make sure that the business thrive beyond what happens when the business isn't going how you expect it. And I will admit there are times when my business is up and down. Especially when you're starting out, you will have days when you're riding the roller coaster up and then you will hit that top and you're sloping down, you go to the bottom and you go back up. So it's really a roller coaster. And so you're going to need this secret ingredient to push you through. So let me show you your screen. And I know it's just one thing, but I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see it with me live, right? And so the one thing that you need, and I didn't, I was like, what are you talking about? You probably guessed it. Passion. And I'm gonna give a shout out to my husband because let me come back on here. I remember asking him this question and I was like, man, when we get to the wealthy part of life, right? Are we gonna still be working? Because let me tell you something. I don't want to work 24/7, 7 for every second of the day, every second of my life. Okay. I am trying to retire. Well, not trying to. I'm going to be retiring. And so I look at a lot of wealthy people, and because if you want to go or achieve a certain goal, it's very a good idea to look at the people in the positions that you hope to hold, whichever aspect of your life that is, whether it's your career, spiritually, in business, finance, whatever it is. And then you kind of model what they've been doing, read their life story and stuff like that. But passion, one of the things that Steve Jobs really talked about in like when he gives his speeches and stuff like that is his passion. And that's what fueled him to really drive Apple to where it was. And that is what fueled him when he was fired. That is what fueled him. And it's a good read if you don't know his story. But I'm reading this book and you're looking at life a little bit different because one of the things, when you're put on this earth, you're put on this earth to make a difference, right? And not just a difference, but to impact other people. And, we're all put on this earth by God to coexist. And so coexist in the sense that we're serving each other. And if you like the author made the innovation, that's the word that he emphasizes, the innovation, because Apple touches everybody. I'm an Android girly, but Android took some of the things from Apple, or Android was birthed as a competition of Apple. So, or we use Microsoft, or we use, different things that even if we're not an Apple person, it impacts us. And so as a business owner, you want to think about what's going to fuel you when the lows come. What is it? And sometimes people will say, okay, whatever you'll do for free is what you should focus on. And it's the truth. Whatever you will do for free is what you should focus on. When I go into a room and I start talking about finance, I can talk about finance all day long. Talk about math and helping students, I can talk about that all day long. I don't know about the free part, but passion. And there are people who are like, we can see your passion coming through to help students, or we can see your passion coming through to help families, because that's what's going to fuel you. When I'm on the floor, transparent moment here, crying because, things aren't going how I expected to go in the business, that's what pushes me to keep going, because I'm like, okay, I got to help these students, or I got to help these, families and stuff like that, make a difference, impact the world in whatever way. And so when you decide to start a business, don't just follow the cash, because what's going to happen is, if the cash dies down, or when it dies down, if that's all you were running or chasing after, that business is going to flop, or that business is going to fail, because you're going to quit. The problem is not that, okay, you know, business is slow, whatever the case may be. The problem is your passion went away, or it wasn't there to begin with. So when you decide that you do want to start a business, think about, what is it? It sounds very cliche, but what is it that when you were a kid, when you were growing up, or whatever the case may be, that you just had this passion for something? What is that passion? And don't get me wrong, that passion needs to translate into something that can give you income, that solves a problem, solves rich people's problem, but it doesn't have to. Rich people's problems, of course, will get you some funds quicker, but you want to find something that solves problems that is a passion of yours. If you can put all of those things together, you are on your way to starting a very successful business that will last, because your passion is fueling it, is fueling you. And so you're not going to give up until you succeed. So if you were considering starting a business, that is one thing you want to consider. All right. I hope this video was helpful. Do like, share, and subscribe. And if you know anybody who is trying to really increase their income or to build wealth, do subscribe or share this video with them, especially if they're thinking or considering starting a business, because in this climate, the president we have, businesses will thrive. So you might want to jump on that. But at any rate, do like, share, and subscribe, and share this video with someone so that we can spread the wealth and help everybody to bridge that wealth gap, because we are all deserving of wealth. Until next time, see you.